Turizago, the sky used to be a deeper blue than it is today, and a person's word was as firm as an inscription etched in stone. In Tosadais, people's hearts were pure, their eyes reflecting the light of faith more than the shimmer of the world. Nights were long, yet they held a strange serenity. When the desert winds blew, it felt as if the entire universe was quietly reciting a secret prayer. Amid the vast deserts of Arabia lay an ancient city called Rianper, famous for its date palm groves, the scent of fragrant oils, and the skill of its artisans. The markets buzzed with energy as traders arrived from distant lands with caravans laden with goods, their voices filling the air with the sounds of commerce. But far from the city's glitter, in a small settlement of humble clay and mud houses, lived people who had little wealth, but whose hearts held treasures of patience and peace. In one such modest hut lived a man named Bilal. He was around 35, his complexion dusky, his clothes simple. Yet, his face radiated a strange light, a glow seen only on those who rise at night to pour their hearts out in prayer. By trade, Bilal was a carpet weaver. Before the sun rose, he would awake, perform his ablutions, pray, and sit at his old loom. His fingers danced among the threads, like a master musician playing a delicate melody on a sitar. He wove beautiful carpets all day, yet his earnings were meager. In terms of worldly wealth, he owned nothing more than an old blanket, a few clay pots, and his small house. But his heart was filled with a peace that no king's treasure could match. Whenever a thread snapped, he would whisper, Alhamdulillah, and as he tied it back together, he would say, Subhanallah. Bilal's wife, Zainab, came from a respected family. Her father had once been among the city's elite, but fate had stripped him of his wealth, and circumstances led her to marry Bilal. At first, Zainab accepted Bilal's poverty as her destiny. She tried to be happy, appreciating his hard work and gentle nature. But gradually, the air of Rianper began to stir a new feeling in her heart. Next door lived a wealthy merchant named Hamid, whose trade was in silk and fine garments. His house was built of solid bricks and white stone, and from behind its tall walls, the aroma of sumptuous dishes would drift over, slowly testing Zainab's patience. Bit by bit, complaints began to rise in her heart. Where she once found joy in their humble life, she now saw only struggle and insufficiency. One evening, after a long day of labor, Bilal returned home carrying only a handful of dates and some dry bread. He smiled and said, Zainab, today also passed by the grace of Allah. But Zainab looked at the plate with contempt. How long, Bilal? She said, her voice sharp. How long will we live like this? Is happiness never meant for us? Bilal replied gently. The world is an inn, Zainab. We are all travelers. Whatever is destined for us will come to us. But Zainab's heart was no longer receptive. Your spiritual words cannot fill a stomach, Bilal, she retorted. I want respect. I want a good life too. Bilal remained silent. Tears glistened in his eyes, but he offered no complaint. That night, Bilal rose for his late-night prayers. He stood in the darkness before his Lord, his tears falling as he prayed, O Allah, restore peace in the hearts of my home. If this is your test, then grant me the patience to endure it. As dawn approached, he heard a faint rustle at the door. Es saw Zainab, quietly leaving the house. Zainab, where are you going? Ekayet out. She paused but didn't turn back. Her voice was cold. Do not stop me, Bilal. I have made my decision. His heart pounded. What decision? Zainab replied. I'm going to work at Hamid's house. He promised me a good life. I can no longer bear your poverty. Her words struck Bilal's heart like a bolt of lightning. With a trembling voice, he said, The dry bread of our humble home is better than luxury earned without honor. But her heart had changed. Her final words were, Trust does not fill the stomach, Bilal. And then she vanished into the morning mist. Bilal sat by the doorway, tears streaming down his face. From the nearby mosque, the call to prayer echoed. Hayya, al-falah, come to success. Bilal looked up at the sky and whispered, O Allah, if you wish to take everything from me to bring me closer to you, then I accept this deal in. That moment all fear of the world left his heart. He picked up his small bag containing his Quran, a water pouch, and a few dates. He left the house open. For now, nothing remained but memories. And so, Bilal left Rianpur, unaware of what lay ahead, walking a path that fate had written for him, a journey destined to become a legend. This story teaches us a profound lesson. We often believe that strength lies in swords, wealth in gold, and honor in grand houses. But true strength resides in character, in patience, and in unwavering faith. Bilal had no worldly wealth, no army, no powerful allies, but a steadfast belief and immense patience made him richer than any king. His journey shows that even the hardest of hearts can be transformed by a soul walking the path of truth. It reminds us that when we choose the path of honesty and faith, we not only shape our own destiny, but also have the power to touch and change the lives of those around us. In the end, we learn that true wealth is not found in piles of gold or luxurious palaces. It is found in the purity of the heart and the courage of the spirit. That is the treasure that truly endures. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more content that inspires and uplifts the soul. In the vast, shimmering expanse of the desert, where the sun kisses the earth with fiery passion, a man named Bilal walked. His steps were slow but steady, his heart a vessel of unwavering faith. He was a simple man, possessing little in worldly goods, but his spirit was as rich as an oasis in the barren land. His journey was one of reflection, a pilgrimage of the soul under the watchful eye of the endless sky. One scorching afternoon, as the heat danced in mirages on the horizon, Bilal encountered a caravan. At its head was a wealthy merchant named Malik, his face etched with the arrogance that often accompanies riches. Malik's camels were laden with silks, spices, and precious gems, a stark contrast to Bilal's humble belongings of waterskin, a few dates, and the prayer mat upon his back. As the caravan prepared to rest for the night, a commotion erupted. A small, velvet pouch containing a magnificent sapphire had vanished from Malik's personal chest. Panic and suspicion spread like wildfire through the camp. Malik's eyes, cold and calculating, scanned the faces of his servants before landing on Bilal, the stranger in their midst. It was him. Malik's voice boomed, pointing a finger heavy with gold rings. "This desert wanderer, this beggar, he has stolen my sapphire." Bilal's heart remained calm. He looked at Malik, his gaze clear and steady. "I have not taken what is not mine," he said, his voice a quiet ripple in the storm of accusations. "My hands are clean, and my conscience is clear." But Malik, blinded by his wealth and prejudice, would not listen. He ordered his guards to search Bilal's meager possessions. They found nothing, of course, but the absence of proof only fueled Malik's fury. He must have hidden it in the sands. Malik declared, "He is a cunning thief. We will deal with him in the morning." Bilal was tied to a post, left to face the chilling desert night. The stars emerged, like scattered diamonds on black velvet, and Bilal turned his heart towards them, towards the heavens. He did not curse his accuser or despair at his fate. Instead, he prayed. He prayed for patience, for truth to be revealed, and for the heart of the merchant to be softened. Throughout the night, as the temperature dropped and the wind whispered ancient secrets, Bilal's faith was his only warmth. He remembered the stories of prophets who faced trials far greater than his own, who met injustice with patience and cruelty with grace. He understood that this was his test, a chance to prove the strength of his convictions, not through words, but through silent endurance. As dawn painted the sky in hues of rose and gold, a young boy, one of the caravan's servants, approached Malik. He was trembling, his eyes wide with fear and guilt. In his small, outstretched hand was the velvet pouch, the sapphire winking in the morning light. "Forgive me, master," the boy whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I saw the gem and was tempted. I took it, hoping to sell it to feed my family. I could not bear to see an innocent man suffer from my mistake." A profound silence fell over the camp. Malik stared from the gem to the boy, and then his gaze shifted to Bilal, who was now being untied. The merchant's face, once a mask of hardened pride, began to crumble. He walked towards Bilal, the weight of his false accusation heavy on his shoulders. He saw not a beggar or a thief, but a man of immense spiritual wealth, a man whose dignity remained untouched by chains and accusations. "Forgive me," Malik said, his voice barely a whisper. He was humbled, his worldly riches suddenly feeling like dust in the face of Bilal's quiet strength. "I was blind. I judged you by your appearance, and I was wrong. Your patience and your faith have taught me a lesson that all my gold could never buy." Bilal simply smiled, a gentle, forgiving smile that held no trace of resentment. "It is not for me to forgive, but for the one who sees all hearts," he replied. "May this lead us both to greater understanding." He then turned to the young boy, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. "Temptation is a difficult test," Bilal said softly, "but confessing the truth is an act of great courage." Malik, moved by this display of compassion, not only forgave the boy but also offered him an honest position with fair pay. He then turned back to Bilal, offering him gifts of gold, silks, and a place of honor in his caravan. Bilal politely declined the material wealth. "My journey is not for riches," he explained. "I seek only to walk the path of truth and draw closer to the divine. Your change of heart is a greater gift than any treasure." With that, Bilal picked up his water skin and his prayer mat. He gave a final, peaceful nod to Malik and the rest of the caravan and continued his journey into the desert. He walked away not as a man who had been wronged, but as a man who had been a vessel for a powerful lesson. He left behind a changed merchant and a camp that had witnessed the true power of faith. The story of Bilal and the merchant became a whisper on the desert wind, a tale told around campfires for generations. It reminded all who heard it that true wealth is not held in the hand, but in the heart. It taught that patience is a fortress against injustice, and that faith, clear and unwavering, can illuminate the darkest of nights, revealing the truth that lies hidden beneath the sands of suspicion and prejudice. As Bilal walked on, the sun warming his back, he was just a man alone in the vast desert, but his spirit soared, as boundless as the sky above, a testament to the enduring power of a pure and patient heart. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please like, share, and subscribe for more tales of wisdom and faith. The night was deepening, and the cold desert wind brushed against Bilal's wounded back. The lashes he had received still burned. With every step, waves of pain rose through him, yet on his lips remained the prayer of patience. The moon was half full, and its gentle light cast long shadows across the sand dunes. Bilal walked slowly. He did not know where he was headed, yet in his heart there was a strange certainty that his Lord would guide him somewhere, somehow. After midnight, he saw a faint light in the distance. At first, he thought it was another mirage, a trick of his tired eyes. But as he moved closer, he saw clearly it was indeed a settlement, a city. Its name was Saikot. Saikot was famous, far and wide, for its ironwork and weapon-making. Furnaces burned day and night. The hammering of the blacksmiths echoed throughout the city. As Bilal reached the city gates, the first light of morning began to spread. The large wooden gates of the city creaked open, and people stepped out to begin their work. Bilal was exhausted. He leaned against a wall inside the city. His clothes were caked with dust and blood. Passersby glanced at him and moved on. Some looked with pity, but none came close. At that moment, a deep voice rang out. "Oh." "Oh. Travala, why are you sitting here?" Bilal lifted his head. Before him stood a tall, broad man. His body was strong, his beard thick, and his clothes smeared with iron dust. This man was the famous blacksmith, Jabbar. Jabbar's name was spoken with fear throughout Sikh. It was said his heart was harder than iron. He was known to be fierce and merciless. Yet today, upon seeing Bilal, he asked, "How did you end up in this condition?" Bilal replied softly, "Even in the journey of fate, there are thorns." Jabbar studied him carefully, then said, "If you have no place to stay, you can work in my workshop. I need a laborer." Bilal bowed his head. "I am not afraid of hard work." Jabbar helped him up and led him along. Jabbar's workshop was at the edge of the city. Huge furnaces burned fiercely. Red-hot iron pieces glowed as workers hammered them into swords and tools. The air was thick with smoke and the sharp scent of molten metal. Jabbar said, "From today, you will work here." Food and a place to stay will be provided. Bilal expressed his gratitude. Days passed. Bilal worked from morning until evening by the furnace. He lifted heavy hammers, handled scorching iron, and shaped tools. His hands were blistered, yet he never complained. In the evening, he would sit in a corner of the workshop and pray. Gradually, the other workers began to feel a connection to him. This man is strange. He smiles even after so much pain, they would say. Yet Jabbar silently observed him. He did not speak much. One night, after all the workers had gone to sleep, Jabbar called Bilal. "Come with me." Bilal followed quietly. Jabbar led him to an old room behind the workshop. On the floor lay a large iron door. Jabbar opened it. Below was a dark basement. Jabbar lit a torch and descended. Bilal followed. When he reached the basement, Bilal was astonished. Piles of gold coins lay scattered across the floor. Along the walls were swords, shields, and precious items. Bilal asked, "What is all this?" Jabbar said in a deep voice, "This is the secret of my life." Then, slowly, he added, "I am not just a blacksmith. I am also the leader of bandits." Bilal was taken aback. Jabbar continued, "At night, we attack wealthy merchant caravans. We take their treasures and store them here." He looked into Bilal's eyes and said, "I brought you here because I trust you. Join us. Your poverty will end forever." The basement torches flickered. The gold coins shimmered, yet in Bilal's eyes, there was no greed. He whispered, "Any wealth earned by taking what belongs to others is poison to me." Jabbar's face hardened. "Think carefully. This opportunity does not come to everyone." Bilal replied, "I cherish the patience given to me by my Lord more than anything." Silence fell over the basement for a while. Then, suddenly, Jabbar laughed. His laugh was heavy, resonant. "For the first time, someone has spoken to me this way, looking into my eyes." He placed the torch against the wall and said, "You know, Bilal, I was not always like this." His voice softened suddenly. "Once, I too was a righteous man, but the world turned me to stone." Bilal looked at him. "Even stone can melt if it is showered with mercy." Jabbar stayed silent for a while. For the first time, moisture appeared in his eyes. At that moment, a loud shout came from above the basement. "Jabbar, come out quickly." Jabbar ran upstairs. Bilal followed. Outside the workshop, chaos had erupted. A man gasped, "The soldiers are coming. The city guards have discovered our secret." Jabbar's face hardened. He immediately ordered his men, "Everyone, prepare to flee." But the city soldiers were already very close. The sound of horses' hooves echoed from all sides. Jabbar looked at Bilal. "If you stay here, you will be caught too." Bilal stood calmly. He said, "One who speaks the truth has nothing to fear." Within moments, the soldiers had surrounded the entire workshop. Swords gleamed. Their leader shouted, "Jabbar, you are surrounded. Drop your weapons." Tension filled the air. Fire burned in Jabbar's eyes. He was about to draw his sword, but at that very moment, Bilal held his hand. Peace is never found in blood. And here, the story reached a turning point, where the words of a humble traveler would change the fate of an entire city. And Jabbar was about to make the most important decision of his life. The morning in Saikot was different that day. Soldiers had surrounded Jabbar's workshop from all sides. Swords gleamed in the sun, and the thundering of horses' hooves echoed through the air. The commander of the soldiers shouted in a loud voice, "Jabbar, there is no escape now. Drop your weapons." Jabbar's hands gripped his sword. His face reflected both anger and unease. His men stood ready for battle. If the swords had clashed at that moment, rivers of blood would have flowed. But then, Bilal stepped forward. He gently held Jabbar's hand. "Jabbar, peace is never found in blood." Jabbar glared at him in anger. "You don't understand, Bilal. If I drop my weapons, these people will not spare me." Bilal spoke calmly. "A man who runs from justice never finds peace, but one who faces the truth. Allah creates a path for him. For a few moments, silence fell. Jabbar's eyes lowered to the ground. Slowly, he dropped his sword. His men, too, laid down their weapons. The soldiers immediately advanced and took Jabbar into custody. At that moment, the city's Qazi and several elders arrived. The Qazi asked, "What has happened here?" The soldiers explained everything: the raids, the treasures hidden in Jabbar's basement. Everyone was shocked. Then Bilal stepped forward. He told the Qazi, "Sir, today Jabbar has confessed his crimes himself. Instead of causing bloodshed, he surrendered his weapons." The Qazi nodded solemnly. Still, he must face punishment for his sins. A few days later, Jabbar was brought before the king in Sikhat, Isagran court. The court was magnificent, with tall pillars, golden drops, and soldiers standing on all sides. The king looked at Jabbar. "You are accused of plundering caravans for years and stealing people's wealth. Do you admit this?" Jabbar bowed his head. "Yes, it is all true." The court fell silent. Then the king asked, "But why did you suddenly surrender your weapons?" Jabbar pointed toward Bilal. All eyes turned to Bilal. "This man is a poor traveler, yet his heart is greater than that of kings. He showed me that wealth gained through wrong means never brings peace." The king thought for a moment, then said, "Jabbar, your crimes are great, but if you truly wish to repent, a chance can be given." Hope sparkled in Jabbar's eyes. The king continued, "You must distribute all your wealth among the poor and spend the rest of your life helping others." Tears welled up in Jabbar's eyes. "I accept this punishment gladly." From that day onward, Sikhat changed. Jabbar truly gave away all his riches to the poor. The very basement that had once held gold coins became a place where food was distributed to the needy. And Bilal set off on his journey once more. He sought neither wealth nor fame. For him, the greatest treasure was his patience and his faith. People still say that the humble traveler with nothing but faith and patience transformed the hardest of hearts. Friends, there is a deep lesson hidden in this story. We often think that strength lies in swords, wealth lies in gold, and respect lies in grand houses. But true strength lies in a person's character. Bilal had no wealth, no power, no support, yet he had patience and truth, and these two things alone can change even the hardest heart. A man like Jabbar, feared by an entire city, was transformed by the words of a humble traveler. This teaches us that if a person walks the right path with sincerity, he can change not only his own life, but also the lives of others. So, always remember, no matter how powerful evil seems, in the end, truth and goodness prevail. And perhaps this is why, even today, there are people who live solely for the good of others, without greed. And those people are truly the richest in this world. See you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video.